Welcome to the Football Garbage Time NFL podcast. My name is Wong, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Football Garbage Time. And with me is the OG co-host, Ryan Whitfield. Hey, Ryan, how's it going, buddy?
It's going well. I think despite 10 years in, there's not many firsts left for us to accomplish, but I think we might be doing it right now. I don't know that we've ever put one together on a Saturday before. So
you're right. We have not. I don't think we have. Of course, it's more. I don't think it was planned that way. But yeah, listen, I'll take the win. Sure, why not? We're just trying to break new ground here. Break new ground for our listeners, dude. And we're talking about this pre-show, so we're gonna promise everyone that we will not co-opt the entire show talking about this. But we're getting close to Halloween, and the one thing I love about Halloween is watching more horror movies because I'm a big horror movie buff. So, Ryan, tell me, what's your favorite horror movie?
Yeah, so I'm a big ambiance person when it comes to horror.
Totally.
Slashers can be fun, but for the most part, startle, jump scare horror is a little cheap in my opinion. So my favorite, and it often when I say this, I think people hear something different than what I'm saying. But my favorite is The Orphanage by Guillermo del Toro. Not The Orphan, not the American-made movie, but the Spanish The Orphanage.
Yes.
Really the most terrifying, unsettling movie I've ever watched. Cinematically, just fantastic. A close second for me is The Shining. But if I can only take one desert island, it's going to be The Orphanage.
Yeah, I love that. That's a fantastic pick because I think it doesn't get as much attention as it should. And if you love ambiance, that is it. I mean, that's basically wall-to-wall anxiety the entire time as you sit there and watch it. And I'll make this recommendation to you, Ryan. If you haven't heard it before, it's called Skinamarink. It actually doesn't have really much of any dialogue, and it's taken from the viewpoint of a child in a house. And I'll just give you the setup. The setup is he gets up and his parents disappear slowly, and then all the walls and all the windows in the house disappear slowly as he wanders around. And it is all ambiance. It is crazy. I think it's on Hulu. So I'm going to make that recommendation to you. The only thing I will say is don't do what I do and surf your phone or your laptop while watching the movie. It will destroy it. If you're not in it, you're going to be like, this is the most boring movie I've ever seen in my entire life, which is like my first reaction to it until somebody said, listen, turn the lights off, put on some headphones and just watch it. Don't do other stuff because you're going to totally ruin the experience. So I'll just leave it at that.
Because that's a great point. Because The Orphanage, years ago, I was living with a friend of mine, and his sister came over, and the two of them don't like horror movies, but they're like, all right, well, let's try something. So I put on The Orphanage to mess with them, and they fucking texted and talked through the entire thing.
Right.
They were like, that wasn't even scary. I'm like, it's in Spanish. You weren't reading the subtitles. You weren't.
Yeah, how do you know what was happening?
Distant, passengers along on this journey. Of course, you didn't find it scary. You weren't paying attention. So
exactly. And I have a friend, and I won't even mention him because I love the Conjuring movies. I know it's some of it is kind of generic, but I turned to one for him, and he's like, the entire time he's like talking on the phone, laughing. And then he tune in for 5 seconds, says that's BS, and then go back to surfing his phone again. Okay, well, you don't even know what's happening. Of course, if you watch 5 seconds of any part of a Conjuring movie, yeah, you'll probably think it's not scary. It's the entirety of it. So anyway, I totally get it, man. I hate it when people do that. I will pick as my favorite horror movie, and this is going to be a little bit not traditional, I think, but Alien, the original Alien, I think was actually masterfully done and one of the best. I will mention something that I found recently, and this is probably a really shitty horror movie, but it's just fascinating to me. It's Grizzly 2. Have you heard of Grizzly 2? It was basically a movie that was meant to rip off Jaws, but with a bear. And it was the first appearance, first on film, of George Clooney, Laura Dern, and Charlie Sheen, all at the same time. It's absolutely fascinating to me. And they actually ran out of money when they were making the movie. It was made in the 80s. They couldn't finish making it because they ran out of money, and the Turkish government seized all their stuff. So they couldn't even get the film print back. But in 2020, they got it back, and they finished the movie and released it. And I will say this. They didn't have enough money to finish the ending, so they actually stole the ending of Jaws 2, like literally cut and pasted Jaws 2 into the back end of Grizzly 2. So the bear goes to jump on a wire, and all of a sudden a shark eats the wire and explodes, and you're like, what just happened there? And that's how it ends. So it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. It's probably the shittiest movie I've ever seen, but the fact that George Clooney, Laura Dern, and Charlie Sheen in it were amazing. So I'm gonna stop there because obviously we've gone off the rails as we've spent 5 minutes and 30 seconds talking about horror movies. But let's talk about football, because there are some horror shows in football as well, and we're going to get to them because today we're going to talk about we're going to do a mid-season check-in here. We're going to talk about teams that are trending up and teams that are trending down, true horror stories as far as I can tell in terms of where they're going for the rest of the season. So let's go ahead and hit. All right, Ryan, let's go ahead and put you over into the teams that are trending up. Give us your first team that's trending up.
My first team is a team that shouldn't really surprise anybody, but started off with a losing record and has turned it around, including a 31-0 massacre of division foe Oakland. Wow, Las Vegas last week.
You're really going back.
So the Chiefs. They got Rashee Rice back. They've just played better football the last couple of weeks. And, I think it was kind of bound to happen again. I still don't think this is a Chiefs team that's even close to any of the teams in the recent years. But as I've said on the show a long time, the Chiefs are the new Patriots, where as long as Mahomes and Reed are there, you can pretty much book them into the Final Four every season. So, worst case scenario, Final 8. So the Chiefs are going to win that division. The Chiefs are going to be a team at least with getting to the second round, if not third round of the AFC playoffs. And so again, very, very. So many similarities between them and the dynastic Patriots, where it's this slow start early in the season, and pretty much every one of the fans from the other 31 teams are hoping that they're dead. And are they dead?
Yeah.
But just like we'll keep the horror theme going, but just like Michael, they always rise back up and are here. So they're playing good defense right now. We'll get to one of the teams in that division, but spoiler alert, I have the Chiefs winning the West. I think again, still. By their standard, not a great Chiefs team this year, but they've seemed to settle down from that early season struggles, moving in the right direction. So
and really actually quite good now. Like if you look at it in the composite, the Chiefs now have the 5th most offensive yards per game of any team in the NFL, and that's including the games they lost. And then they also have scored the 6th most points per game of any NFL team this season at 26.6. So they're really stepping it up. Plus, Patrick Mahomes has added an additional dimension to his game. He's been running much more than he ever has. He's averaging more. Actually, this is a problem. He's actually their leading rusher right now on a per game basis, which is something you should avoid in most teams, but that's working for them. And you're right. Rashee Rice coming back. I mean, they have a plethora of weapons now. I mean, Xavier Worthy is almost, it's funny because in many other teams, I think he would be running as an opportunity as a wide receiver too. And right now he's being treated like 3-4 because everyone's there and they're healthy and it's starting to actually click for them. And Patrick Mahomes is becoming Patrick Mahomes. So it's going to be tough, but it's hard to admit. And I think there was a lot of attention on them losing because we all wanted them to lose, but they have definitely turned things around. Now they got the Commanders on tap without Jaden Daniels, so I'm not really, I don't think that's a problem. But they got the Bills that are still coming up, and we'll talk about them a little bit. But otherwise, they'll beat the Cowboys. They'll probably beat the Texans. They've already managed to get by some of these other guys. Titans are going to be a piece of cake. Broncos, I think they should be able to handle. And then they got the Raiders again. So it's kind of seems like a foregone conclusion that they are on their way to the playoffs. I'm going to talk about
defense right now. So, they're, anytime you got Spagnuolo there, again, I think that's the thing that gets missed a lot about the Chiefs is that they have they've kind of become more of a defensive team with an opportunistic offense over the last couple of years, and I think that's still there right now. Figuring out how to run the ball, I think, is going to be important for the Chiefs because I feel like that's Pacheco has not been his normal self this year. But again, I think if you're betting against the Chiefs, in the big picture, in a one-off game, whatever, but big picture,
Yeah, bad bet.
I would not advise it.
Yeah, and to your point, the Chiefs defense has allowed the 5th least total yards per game this season and the 3rd least points per game at 17.7. So they are doing their bit as just as much, in fact, better than what the offense is doing, and that's including their losses. So yeah, they're back. And much as we all might hate to see it, they are back in charge, and they're probably the team to beat this season. So I'll give you my first team trending up, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And regardless of the loss to the Lions in Week 7, what Baker Mayfield is doing with a rotating cast of characters at wide receiver and running back, I think is relatively remarkable. He hasn't had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin together in a full game and full snap count yet, but the emergence of rookie Emeka Egbuka has really opened things up. And with Bucky Irving out, Rachaad White has found a way to rewind time a little bit and be a lead back into the Bucs. Mayfield has had back-to-back 4,000 passing yard seasons, and he's well on his way to a 3rd. His MVP odds at the beginning of the season was plus 3,000, but right now it's plus 425. It's a reflection of the fact that he's actually kind of carrying this team, again, without having a consistent set of skill players out there. There is a tough schedule ahead. They got the Bills. They got the Patriots, who I think are legitimate playoff/Super Bowl contenders this year. They have the Rams. They're all 3 on tap, but I have some confidence that this isn't a half-season blip for the Bucs. And plus, if you look at the rest of the NFC South, I mean, you got the Panthers, Falcons, and Saints. None of those guys are going to seriously challenge the Bucs for a playoff spot, I don't think. So I think there's a pretty good chance they're going to make a little bit of a playoff run, and they're going to trend back up in the back end of the season. What do you think about the Buccaneers?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, they're absolutely going to win the NFC South. It's a weak division. I mean, I know
Right.
Panthers won 3 straight games, but let's not overreact.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
And the Falcons, have pieces and tools, but they seemingly can't find a way to keep putting or to consistently put it together. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Buccaneers are. I mean, this is kind of who they've been in the post-Brady era. They're kind of a gritty, tough team that continues to kind of take on the personality of their quarterback. Every single game, whatever it was, 4 straight games or 1-score games that they won to start the season. Like they are, they're competitive. They're clutch when they need to be. To your point, they're doing it with a cast of characters. One of my moments, we always, especially as we get older and have less time to sit here and just, be involved on a 24/7. I have more moments now than I did in my younger years of that guy still in the league. And one of my first moments this year was when Sterling Shepard was out there running around catching
right
field. With the injuries to Egbuka, Godwin, and now
Evans. Yeah,
Evans. Thank you. So he's doing with a cast of characters, like you said, Bucky Irving being down and Rachaad White, stepping into the level that he has. They just find a way. So again, weak division, they find a way. That conference obviously tougher. You noted the Patriot game. I mean, that game's at home for the Bucs. That should be a win. They have what should be wins up and down in their division. So, I think the floor for them at this point, given the way they've started, is 10, 11 wins, and that'll be more than enough for a division title.
Yeah, totally agree. And my favorite story of these guys. So Tez Johnson, obviously out there, and one of their wide receivers, who's gotten a little bit more playing time now with all the injuries in their wide receiver core. It was funny. He told a story from Week 6 where he caught his first touchdown of his career, and he said, and he heard everybody chanting MVP, and he was like, "Wow, this is amazing!" And he goes over to Sterling Shepard, and says, "Hey, man, are they chanting MVP?" And he's like, "Dude, they're chanting for Baker. It's not for you, buddy." But hey, I thought it was great. It was such a great story. And obviously Baker really magnanimous in that locker room. So called it out and they had a great time with it. It was, I think they're a fun team. They're a scrappy team. They're going to find a way to win, and they're in the right division for it. So on the way up. All right. Ryan, give us your other team that's trending up.
The Patriots.
Those
Patriots. Done this long enough that I had to go to the bottom of the barrel for 3 years and really suffer, which I know everyone feels awful for me for, because that's a really long time to suffer. But they're back on the rise. And there is actually some local hesitation because of the 2021 Patriots that had a 7-game win streak, went to the playoffs. They got blown out by Buffalo, but everyone thought, okay, they are. They found the guy to replace Brady. They won 10 games that year. I think they won 10-7. They made it to the playoffs. Like, they're back. But Mac Jones, we were hoping Mac Jones would develop into something that he ultimately obviously didn't develop into. So the difference is that Drake May is way more talented than Mac. And we all, evaluations going into it, I think most people agreed. Well, I never liked Caleb Williams. Some people did, but take Caleb out of it. But between him and Jaden Daniels, the question was that Jaden had way more games under his belt, was older, so a higher floor, but we kind of know what his ceiling is. Drake probably has a higher ceiling, but will he reach it? And then the injury concerns for Jaden. Well, Jaden's injury concerns are rearing their head, and May is finding that ceiling way quicker than I think we thought he would. Now, there's still three primary questions for me. Can he win clutch late games where he has to come from behind?
Right.
Game-winning drive in Buffalo on the road, that was a marquee moment, but we're not over celebrating one. So we still need to see if we can do that consistently. Need to see what he actually looks like in meaningful games in December and January in New England, where it's 20 degrees out, and with the wind whipping, if he can, as a kid from North Carolina who plays college football in North Carolina and ACC, where there's really not any teams up north. I mean, there's a couple, but primarily that's the Mid-Atlantic, Southeast schedule. And then if you can win playoff games, because there have been guys who could handle those first two things, but not when they matter the most, a la Matt Ryan. So those are the three things that we're looking for around here. And again, also differently is that 2021 team was really a run-first team with a good defense. And sneakily, the Patriots defense, which I think a lot of people around here thought was going to be a calling card this year, has been awful. Spencer Rattler and Cam Ward, by any advanced metric, have been two of the worst quarterbacks in football this season, and both of them came out and carved up the Patriots in the first half of those games. Now their defense settled in, played better in the second half. Christian Gonzalez, who I think is overrated in the first place, but I don't know if he's just not 100% coming back from the hamstring, but he's playing really poorly right now. Carlton Davis looks like his best years might be behind him, which we knew, but it looks like the cliff has really come. He is not playing well. The safety play is atrocious. The linebackers are good in run coverage, but they're not good in pass coverage. So the middle of the field's wide open against the Patriots. You can have the middle whenever you want it. They're good at stopping the run, and they have a nice pass rush, especially Milton Williams and Christian Barmore in the middle. So, anyways, a lot of pieces to build around, but they're far from a good team. You said Super Bowl contender. I would argue no.
Okay.
But I think they're a contender to get to the Super Bowl because I think the AFC is so bad right now, which actually helps my other team that was on the rise with the Chiefs, because we'll talk about the Bills in a minute, but I don't really think there's a real legit AFC team. I think the NFC is where the real power in football is right now. But today, Patriots are 5-2. I fully expect them at this point to be a playoff team this year. I don't think they're going to win the division. I don't think they're going to win a playoff game, but I think they take a big step into that, and then they got to go add more next offseason.
Yeah, I mean, of the games that are left this season for the Pats, the toughest, arguably the toughest tests left, probably the Bills and the Ravens, maybe the Buccaneers. So those are three games that I think will be a little bit of a test, but the rest of them, I think they should be able to handle. You got the Jets twice. That should be a gimme. We got the Browns in there. The Dolphins are a complete problem. So all those teams, I think, should be handleable by the Pats. And I will give the Patriots defense a little bit more credit. They have actually allowed the fifth least amount of points per game. I know they get carved up on the ground and they get carved up in the air. They do give a lot of yards, but they're a bend not break, and they're not allowing a lot of scoring. So they're only allowing 19 points per game this season, which is the fifth best in the NFL. So, and they have 9 turnovers. Should say takeaways, not turnovers, but takeaways. So they're definitely opportunistic as well. So I do think there is some
DVOA though. Look up their DVOA ranking, and I don't know where this breakdown came from. They're saying on the local radio a bunch. I have not fact checked this myself. This is not just an easy schedule this year for the Patriots. It is the easiest strength of schedule in 50 years in the NFL.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
They shouldn't be giving up points because they are, again, this week, Dylan Gabriel, they're gonna probably get the Bengals before Joe Burrow gets back. They have an insanely fortunate schedule, and then the Jets and the Dolphins falling apart. Like you said, that's 4 games. You know, they have the Falcons at home. You know, like it's like some of their toughest games outside the Buccaneers, like you said, and the Bills will be at home this time around. But yeah, I mean, a long way of saying that, like, yeah, they're doing enough to win defensively, but they're playing historically lucky schedule right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, funny enough, I can't believe I'm in a position where I have more faith in the Pats than you do, Ryan. This is really bizarre for me. I feel like we're in like bizarro world here, but I think we both agree that they are a team on the rise. The other team that I have coming up in this midseason checkup, as far as on the rise, trending up, are the Indianapolis Colts. Now, and I have to say, this is one is the most shocking to me if you look at it from the perspective of where we were at the beginning of the season, because obviously they took a gamble on Daniel Jones. They signed him to $14 million, and they named him a starter over Anthony Richardson, who was the golden child not 1 year ago. And, you know, everyone remembers that Jones was released by the New York Giants. He didn't get a chance to play a snap in Minnesota, and now he's led the Colts to a 6-1 record. The offense looks rejuvenated. Jonathan Taylor is now leading the league again as a running back. That's insane. He has 697 rush yards and a league high 10 touchdowns. A lot of that is what Daniel Jones is doing to open up that offense, allowing those running lanes for Jonathan Taylor, allowing him to actually get going again. The Colts own the best offense in football, averaging 33.1 points per game. At no point has a Colts team, this was fascinating to me, in the Super Bowl era, scored as many points per game than the 2025 team that we are looking at today in the first 7 games. The 232 points they've scored in the first 7 games are more than anything that Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck has ever done in the same time frame. So that is blowing my mind. You know, the Colts are overachieving at an historic rate, and they're doing amazing work. And part of that is on Daniel Jones having this kind of rejuvenated career in Indianapolis. He hasn't turned the ball over that much, and he has a really solid offensive line. He's had 6 games, which has taken 1 or fewer sacks, and it had a passer rating over 100 each of those times. And on the other side, the Colts defense has stepped up as well. They have 11 turnovers, tied for the 3rd most in the NFL, and they have the 7th best defense against the run. So they've been very reasonable on the other side of that. Their upcoming schedule is also reasonable. They have a Week 12 date against the Chiefs, which I would say was going to be challenging at Arrowhead. However, the rest of it doesn't look like much, right? They face the Titans. They got the Texans twice. They got the Jaguars twice. I think those are all teams they can beat. That means at least they're looking at an 11 or 12 win season. That's probably going to be better than good enough to win the AFC South. And I think good enough to give them a chance at a playoff run here. So am I overreacting to the Colts here, Ryan? What do you think?
No, I don't think so. They have the Colts have kind of been the same team for the last, well, they figured out just in time as Andrew Luck retired. So now they've had the opposite problem. They used to have not a great roster outside of T.Y. Hilton and Andrew Luck. Right. Now they've lost the quarterback, and they've built a great system. They're kind of like the Vikings in that way, where they're almost quarterback proof. I know, an interesting day or week for me to say that, given what happened Thursday night. But in general, the last couple of years, the Vikings have not had a true, franchise quarterback, yet they keep performing. So we're seeing that now with the Colts. The same thing. It's a good roster, top down. It's a weak division. It's a weak conference. This is not my original or my only thought. Someone posted this to Twitter after Sunday with a picture of the AFC standings with the Patriots and the Colts and 1 and 2, and said, "What in the hell 2007 is this?" World goes right again. But yeah. I mean, I think they're a talented team. But I still wait for the bottom to drop out because it is Daniel Jones. I'm not. I know we've seen this kind of rebirth of quarterbacks that weren't very good that are starting to play well. Sam Darnold, right? Baker, who we just mentioned, Jared Goff,
Gino elite till this year.
The Raiders can ruin anybody. But I'm not. But again, when you talk about like Super Bowls, it's Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford, Patrick Mahomes. Like those are like the guys who are good are usually the guys who go. So like I'm not buying in on the Colts being like a Super Bowl contender. Again, AFC's weak, so they could get there. But I expect Daniel Jones to turn into Daniel Jones at some point. I'll be honest, I've not watched a lot of the Colts outside of like Red Zone because I don't have a ton of interest in watching Daniel Jones play quarterback. But
well, I mean, That's probably true for a lot of the country outside of Indy right now.
But
But certainly,
also even by the advanced metrics, like, so like it's not like the team is carrying him right now.
yeah,
I didn't look after this last week, but I know he's been top 5, I believe, in EPA as a quarterback.
yeah.
EPOA. So, again, he's been good. These guys usually do turn back into a pumpkin at some point. So I expect for it to happen.
Yeah. And let's, of course, I shouldn't get ahead of ourselves, right? I mean, Daniel Jones obviously was released by the Giants for a reason, part of which is that the Giants are kind of dysfunctional. But that being said, they've definitely put him in the right place. And let's not, overlook the fact that he has a much better offensive line in Indianapolis than he's ever had with the New York Giants. And that's obviously making a huge difference for him. All right, let's talk about the teams that are trending down. So Ryan, what's your first team that's trending down in this midseason checkup that we're doing?
Yeah, it's the Bills. Loser straight. Pretty much embarrassed before their bye week with that loss at the hands of the Falcons in a game that ultimately, 24-14 was the final. It was a lot less close than that. And now we are, as we're hitting the midpoint of the season, you can start to look at and evaluate not style points, but like, how teams have got here. So they're 4-2, and you say that's fine, but their 4 wins are against the Ravens, against the Jets, against the Dolphins, and against the Saints.
Right.
And then they lost to the team that's leading their division now, who, again, I think that was more of a one-off fluky game. I still expect the Bills to win this division, but I'm just talking about here and now. They lost that, and then they go get their butts whooped by the Falcons. And I think the problem is that Keon Coleman is not developed into a good enough receiver, and they don't have enough around Josh Allen right now on that side. The defense has been. I mean, they can't stop the run at all. And then they've been dealing with injuries, and I think that's how the ball has aged over the last couple of years. The defensive pieces they had 4 years ago. So, the one thing I would say to the Bills is, well, 2 things. One, I still think what's Josh Allen is going to win a Super Bowl, if not multiple. I think he is one of the most gifted, talented guys in the NFL. I believe in him fully. I don't think Sean McDermott is the coach. So I think the Bills will be kind of stuck in this middle level until they find the guts to finally move on from him. So that's how I feel is ultimately holding them back from the next level. And also, I would just say to the Bills, pretty nice to have Stephon Diggs right now, wouldn't it? With your pass catcher,
it'd be nice for them to have any pass catcher. They really lack a wide receiver one. They're one of 9 teams in the NFL without a passing touchdown on a throw of at least 20 yards this season. So you don't expect that out of a team that has Josh Allen there. But Josh Allen has not been Josh Allen recently. In these last 2 losses, he's thrown 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Plus, he was sacked 4 times by Atlanta. That's the most since week 1 of 2023. And he's had 4 fumbles through 6 games after committing only 5 all of last season. So there are some issues here. Maybe it's offensive line. Maybe he's trying to do too much because they fall behind. I don't know. But their defense also a problem. They can't contain the run. They are allowing 5.8 yards per carry. That's the worst in the NFL right now. And they got some big tests up ahead. They have the Pats again. They have Chiefs. They have the Bucks. They have the Eagles. I mean, I just don't know what to expect out of this Bills team. I think they're better than what we've seen, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to get over the hump when they don't have a true number 1 wide receiver there. And when you said Stephon Diggs, like, hey, right now they could take anybody. It's just that's not working with what they got right now in their wide receiver room. So that's a question mark, massive question mark for me for the Bills. I think they probably will do enough to make the wild card no matter what, but that's not what I expected the Bills to be this year. A team limping in the wild card. That's just not what I thought was going to happen. So I agree with that. Big trend down for those Buffalo Bills. And we'll see if they turn it around. I'm going to go to the extreme turn down, right? Like the worst of the worst. And I'm going to talk about the Miami Dolphins. That's the team that is just a complete disaster right now. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa has had back-to-back games with 3 interceptions. He threw for just 100 yards against the Browns. And that's after he publicly called out his teammates and his coaching staff for the fact that they're having offensive issues. He goes out there and throws in 3 interceptions. One is a pick 6 and just 100 yards against the Browns. And their only win this season is against the Jets. That's their only win this season. Now, we all thought, at least I thought that the Miami offense would be fire. And it has been. It's been the dumpster fire. That's the problem. It's been a massive dumpster fire. And Waddle was we thought that he was going to step up, as a top target ever since Tyreek Hill went up, but it just hasn't happened. He has no consistency. Devon Achane is still good, but he can only do so much. And Darren Waller, what a great story, having him come back after a year off to catch 4 touchdowns in just 3 games. But of course, the injury bug got him again, as we all expect Darren Waller to get, and he's on IR. And the defense has been just horrifically bad. I mean, they allowed Browns rookie running back Quinshon Judkins to run for 3 touchdowns. And they were unable to force a single turnover against a Cleveland team that has not, up to that point, scored more than 20 points in a game. So they just destroyed the Dolphins in a way that has not been seen by the Cleveland Browns this season. They got the Pats and Bills in the same division. I mean, the Dolphins are just toast. They're just absolutely toast. And they got to play. I mean, they got the Bucs as well on deck. This could be a 0-for season for the Miami Dolphins in terms of any more wins for the rest of the season. What do you think? Am I overreacting? Are the Miami Dolphins this bad?
Yeah, they are this bad. Defense is a complementary piece at this point in today's NFL, but you can't just be bad on defense for 5-10 straight years in a row.
Yeah.
And I had real questions about Tua. I did not have as many questions about Mike McDaniel before, but the problem is that you don't learn about someone's character when things are good. You learn about their character when things are bad.
Absolutely.
And the way that both of them have reacted this year, they've both got to go. They got to blow that whole thing out and start over. I think McDaniel will eventually be a good NFL coach. Obviously he's a great offensive scheme guy, offensive coordinator, but I think he'll be a good head coach at some point.
Yeah.
He's not mature enough for it now. The firing those two are doing back and forth at each other in this. The fact that they were having players only meetings 4 weeks into the season was a bad enough sign.
Yeah.
And normally I look at how somebody's reacting during an injury as that's a heightened emotional moment. Sometimes you're kind of still in fight or flight. I don't read too much into it. But Tyreek had all that stuff this offseason about wanting to be out of there. And then when he's getting carted off, he's laughing and smiling, almost looked relieved. I'm so happy.
I don't have to play this guys anymore.
And then all the stuff that's leaked out since only confirms that to me. I think as bad as we've seen that it is from a culture standpoint there right now,
it's worse.
It's probably 2 to 3 times worse than it actually is. It's probably 2 to 3 times actually more worse. If we had, or that's not the right grammar, whatever. If we had a behind the scenes thing, I think it's the tip of the iceberg is what I'm trying to say. It's a lot worse than we even see. I think that the Dolphins are done in 2025, and I also think that they're due for a massive retool, which I know is not what Dolphins fans want to hear because it's about 30 years and counting since they were truly relevant, but they almost got there. The moment I knew this iteration was done was the moment that Tua was dressed like he was going on the Iditarod race to play in Kansas City. I know it's cold, but you have 7 layers under there. That tells me everything you need to know about Miami. They're a front-running, offensive, soft football team, and that's continued to play a role here the last couple of years and coming to a head now.
Yeah, totally agree. Complete and utter mess there with the Miami Dolphins. I just don't know. I don't think they turn anything around, and I think they're going to blow this thing up at the end of the year. All right, Ryan, what's your second team that's trending down?
So, as I said to you in the pre-show, admittedly, an awkward time to list this team considering they're coming off a 27-point victory. But I'm going the Chargers because I see a lot of the same issues that have always plagued the Chargers my whole life, which is that they just can't consistently do what they need to do. So you have a nice marquee win against the Chiefs to start the year, and you come out and you're actually up to a 3-0 start with 3 divisional wins, including the Broncos, who are as hot as anybody now. And then you
Yep.
go and lose to the Giants, and then you lose to the Commanders, who really haven't found a great footing this year. And then they beat the Dolphins. But for any of us who don't remember, that was kind of that was a minute and a half away from being a last second loss that they then pulled out of their keisters. And
Yeah.
then they got smoked by the Colts. So they beat the Carson Wentz led Vikings
Yeah.
with
But
Carson
bad
Wentz
hand.
out there with 1.5 functioning arms.
Right.
A team that has its own kind of issues going on right now. So I'm watching a trend where you just lost 3 out of 4 games and really could have lost 4 straight. And the one that you won was, again, a pull it out of your ass last second win against the Dolphins, who we just talked about, as bad as they are.
Yeah.
And then you have a big, in terms of point spread win at home, but I'm just not. It's a win at home against a team that I think is kind of inferior. But the Vikings 3-4 now, so there's a lot of issues there now. I think offensively, the offensive line continues to be a problem. I know they just got Joe Alt back. Maybe that does steady some things. But Herbert's constantly under fire. The defense has been very underwhelming. Again, I'll just give you point totals from that 5-game stretch we just talked about. 21, 27, 27, 38. That's not exactly what you're looking for. And I don't know how much stock I can put into the Vikings, the Vikings win. So, I'll just say that overall, with the way they started and where they're sitting at right now, as I said earlier, the Chiefs are going to win that division. And there's that great clip years ago of Julian Edelman talking to Malcolm Mitchell on the sideline. He says, what my dad used to say to me when you get them down? And Malcolm Mitchell says, what? He goes, you break their fucking necks. And that's what the Chargers need to do. You had a 3-0 division record, and you would beat the Chiefs to start the season. And in pure Charger fashion, because this is who they've been my entire life, they've squandered that away to now all of a sudden they're in a dogfight down the stretch the rest of the season. And if you give me a dogfight down the stretch, I'm taking the Chiefs. So they're a team on the downswing for me, because they had an excellent opportunity to run away with this division and put the team that's basically ruled that division for a decade plus down, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, and the true test will come near the end of the season in the last 4 games of the year. They got the Eagles, and then they got the Chiefs kind of back to back there. That will define who the Chargers are when they get to that point. Right now, coming up in the near future is not a whole lot of competition. They got the Titans, got Jaguars, Raiders. Those should all be easy wins. So if they're not, then we will know something more about the Chargers as well. So very interesting. Keep an eye on that one. There is definitely a trend down there for those Chargers, even coming off a relatively dominant win against, like you said, a very, very much hampered Vikings offense. Okay, last team that I'll talk about in terms of downward trend in this midseason checkup are the New York Jets. Now, I don't think this is a surprise to anyone. I think it's a surprise how bad they are. And I think it's a surprise that they have absolutely nothing going for them right now. I mean, they've lost their best wide receiver to injury, Garrett Wilson. They lost their best corner, Sauce Gardner, to injury. And everything else is a disaster. Justin Fields' experiment was a disaster. It did not work out at all. Now they're looking at turning to Tyrod Taylor as their starting quarterback, and he's kind of injured. So who knows what's going to happen there. Mason Taylor is a good story at tight end. Breece Hall's okay. The rest of the team is just a complete and absolute disaster. And I don't know how they turn it around. And I think that was Woody Johnson, the owner, came back and supported Glenn, but they kind of threw all the blame at the feet of Justin Fields. Come on, man. We know it's not only the quarterback at fault here. There's more problems than that. And we know who Justin Fields is. I saw him close up for 3 years with the Bears, and he is what he is, right? I mean, he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL, unfortunately. I love the guy, but he's just not that guy. And the Jets didn't give him any better opportunity to succeed than he ever had with the Bears. So let's not put all the blame on Justin Fields. What do you think about those Jets, Ryan?
Oh, the Jets. Yeah, it's a Woody Johnson problem. He is the embodiment of Tommy Boy. Silver Spoon Club doesn't know how to run a franchise. There's just everything that's wrong with professional sporting teams who pass it down to their son, who can't get out of the way. And again, that comment is just so misinformed. And I'd put even a bigger thing on this. Like, this is not about Aaron Glenn as a person, as a coach. Look at all the good head coaches in the NFL right now. What side of the ball is their background on? It's the offensive side, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's where these guys come from. It's the game has changed so much over the last 20 years. The defensive head coaches don't work. The one exception can be the kind of guy who can really institute a culture. And I'm not just saying that's the Patriot fan, because he did it in Tennessee too. Is like Mike Vrabel has that personality. Anyone who watched Hard Knocks, or I don't know, it was Hard Knocks, whatever. There's too many behind the scenes shows. Whatever the one was with the Lions, and we talked about it at the time. The whole Aaron Glenn running around, the little prank game he was playing with another assistant coach and stuff, and like the coach is supposed to be the CEO of the team, and he just doesn't come across as serious enough for me. As if you're going to be like that, Nick Sirianni, you better be an offensive mastermind who can X's and O's your way to being better than you are. If you're the defensive head coach, that can't be that. And I look at the Jets, and I'm gonna miss a couple in here for sure. But Rex Ryan, Todd Bowles, Robert Saleh, and Aaron Glenn. How many effing defensive coordinators are you going to hire as a head coach before you look at it and go, what kind of coach do the Chiefs have at the helm? How about the Bengals who won the Super Bowl a couple years ago? How about the Rams? How about look at the best teams in football. They're all offensive coaches, and this dumbass keeps hiring defensive coach after defensive coach, and then wants to throw the quarterback, the journeyman quarterback who we all know has never lived up to the bill of what he was supposed to be. He really didn't at college. He had a plethora of talent around him. For anyone who saw him on the QB1 show years ago, into his professional career. And Justin Fields seems like a nice enough guy. He's just not that talented of a thrower. And so you hire another defensive coach, saddle him with a journeyman backup quarterback,
right, as your starter, as your clear starter.
And then you're going to put it all at I just have no patience to watch somebody. I have no patience while it being comical for me as a Patriot fan, because that organization, there's very few that I still at going on 40 years old that I still hate, like the Montreal Canadiens. Like, there's very few franchises I still have that for. The Jets are on that list, and he is so stupid, and he does the same thing over and over again. And just like Jerry Jones, in today's modern NFL, if your owner is going to come out and talk about players and coaches like that in the media, that is the sign of a dysfunctional organization that will not win. And so Woody Johnson, to him, to Jerry Jones, to Mark Davis, those franchises will never win until there's different people in power.
Yeah, it is a major. I totally agree with that, and there's a major issue there. And just for an update for anybody who's wondering, Tyrod Taylor was ruled out this week, so that means Justin Fields, after everyone has blamed him for being the reason why the Jets suck, is going to have to play this week. So can you imagine what that kid's going through? That's got to suck so hard.
And I'm sure they would be 6-1 if Tyrod Taylor was at the helm too.
Exactly. I mean, come on.
It's a Justin Fields issue. It's not a culture of being a fucking losing franchise for 50 years.
Yeah. And listen, I love Tyrod Taylor, but he's a backup quarterback, all right? I mean, he's a good backup quarterback, but he's a backup. There's a reason why no one wanted him to be their starting quarterback last year. And, there's a reason why. And you can't just turn around and say, oh, that was the better pick. Come on, man. That you're better than that. So at any rate, Jets, complete disaster, dumpster fire. There's no turning this around for them. They're going to have to blow up the entire organization. There's no redeemable parts here, again, except for perhaps the wasted talent of Garrett Wilson, the wasted talent of Sauce Gardner, and Mason Taylor, the rookie tight end, who I think is going to be something if he has a chance to be something. So there is some bits and pieces, But by and large, this team is a done deal, man. Turn it over, put a fork in them, and let's get it over. And that brings us to the end of the episode. Let's hit the air horn on the show here. Ryan, give us your social media so people can follow you.
Hey, on the way out here, give me 120 seconds on my soapbox.
You got it. 120 seconds it is.
We have a platform, and I'm going to use it for once.
Oh, no way. Get out.
To everyone out here, as sports fans, the only thing that makes sports the best real drama in the history of entertainment is the fact that everything's on the level. We as fans have one way to really affect these sports and how they're run, and that's with our viewership and with our money. The NBA and this saga that's going on this week, for those of you who aren't paying attention, another sports gambling controversy in the NBA. Do not forget that this is the league that has tried to tell you for 20 years that Scott Foster had nothing to do with Donaghy, even though Donaghy would call his bookie and then call Scott Foster right after. And we all know Scott Foster is the fixer that the NBA employs in a series where it's 2-0 or 3-0 and they want to extend the series. So do not let the NBA off the hook. Do not watch right now. Do not give them your money. Force them into radical changes to make things more transparent, because there is no league with worse officiating, with more sketchy shit going on. And don't forget that the NBA knew what Terry Rozier was doing, shelved him for the rest of the season with a phantom injury, and then let him come back. And one of the biggest games that is being, everyone's overanalyzing this week and stuff was from last season. So they let him come back, and he did it again. And as a Celtics fan who watched him go 2 for 14 in Game 7 against the Cavs back in 2018, when that Celtics team was not going to win a title anyways, but that was Jason Tatum's rookie year, that whole startup. They almost knocked out the Cavs. And then he comes out and goes, it was either 2 for 10 or 2 for 14, whatever. His worst game of the series was in Game 7. I'm supposed to sit here and think that was on the level now, knowing what we know? Yeah. The only thing that makes sports worth watching is knowing that it's on the level. This is a league that has continued to have issues like this. They don't address them publicly. And again, when they tried to give you the rogue referee gambling shit 20 years ago, it smelled then, it smells now. Don't let them get away with it, because if the gambling shit turns the sports into a fixed thing like boxing, all these sports will die just like boxing did. So anyways, that's my soapbox. Don't let that get buried.
Hey, listen, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it has been so shocking, all the revelations that we've had about this entire sports betting issue, and tied in with organized crime and the NBA. Stay tuned. There's probably a lot more to be uncovered here. All right, Ryan. Now give everybody your social media so they can follow you, and now they can come at you about your soapbox too.
You can see a ripple at Ryan Whitfield, and if anybody comes after me about that, you just want to watch wrestling. So I'll go do it. You want fixed outcomes? There's something there for you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's great. That's entertainment, man. As long as they own it, right? That's all I need to know. All right. You could follow me at FB Garbage Time on X/Twitter or on Blue Sky, or you can find me at the Football Garbage Time page on Facebook. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and listening and wasting time with us. Until next time, enjoy your NFL week.